Leaking and lies. That's the biggest problem.
Leakers and lies. For everything scary, I'm GMHaunts, and welcome back to Channel 1031. Channel 1031 was inactive for about 4 months, but for 2022, I decided to return the show, bring it back in a revitalized way, and today we're kicking off in an extraordinary way with an absolutely fantastic guest. So my first guest for the returned version of Channel 1031 has over 6,000 subscribers. He's a big part of the Spirit Halloween info finding team known as the Leakbusters, and he's the creator of the HugzTimez Spirit Halloween doll series. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my guest for the returning version of Channel 1031, Halloween Haunter.
Don't leak, people. Don't leak. Don't leak.
Don't leak, people. That's very, very good advice.
That's good advice, right?
It is,
Don't
and
leak.
that's just how we're kicking off the show. So you can't even imagine the kind of things you're going to hear for the rest of the show. So let's just kick it off. So the first question is, what started your love for Halloween? Obviously, now you have over 6,000 subscribers. You have a huge animatronic collection, and you become friends with multiple people at Spirit Halloween's corporate team. How did you get to where you are today, and what started your love for Halloween?
You know, when I was 4 years old, I was a little kid. I don't know what really sparked it, but when I was 4, I used to go on YouTube and look up like Halloween videos, not exactly like props, but just Halloween videos. And then I think I stumbled upon the Heads Up Harry prop, and I remember my 4-year-old self was like, I need to get this. So they go to Walmart and they don't have it, of course. This was like a year or two later before they had it still. And I got this mini face ripper guy, and he was really cool. And ever since then, I went to Spirit that year. That was 2008, and I've been going every year. And then in 2014, I started a YouTube channel. It was not a very big one. It was not Halloween Haunter yet, but it was just posting decorations, and then in 2015 started the channel, and that's where it takes off.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, the people watching Halloween YouTube videos, I feel like so many people start that way. The amount of people I've interviewed and they say that they started with Halloween YouTube is like crazy. Like, if haunters and Halloween YouTube videos did not exist, then half the haunters we have right now, I don't even think
That's actually really true. I mean, I don't know. It's possible I would have gotten into it in the future, but I think that was a good idea to look at Halloween videos when I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
That really sparked my interest a lot, and I think other people too, like you said.
Yeah. So this next question is kind of, it talks about one of the things that you're doing now, and it's it's something that you're a big part of it. There's multiple questions like this, but this is just the first one. Obviously, you're a big part of the self-proclaimed Leakbusters of the Spirit Halloween community. For people who don't know what the Leakbusters are, it's a group of people who info find, what we call it, or find information about Spirit Halloween ahead of time before other people do. You get to see Spirit animatronics, ISEs, and products sooner than ordinary haunters do. How did you start info finding, and kind of what got you into Leakbusters? I know you're not really allowed to say a lot, but for what you can say, what can you share about that?
So I actually started in 2016. So back then in 2016, I actually wasn't finding it. People were finding it for me. And I kind of organized a little document of these links and props that were being shown off, even some of the themes kind of being leaked. And that was in 2016. And, you know, I wasn't actually the leader, I guess. There wasn't really a clan. It was just people sending me stuff. But in 2017, that's where it really kicks off. This was the first fresh year of leaks. And I remember getting stuff pretty early. And I got this because of my friend Frank, which I think some people might have met at Flagship, or some people might just know in general right now. I met with him through text, and me and him have kind of been organizing leaks for several years until 2019 when Ashton came along, and I got Ashton into it. And then in 2021, me and Ashton were doing leaks together, while me and Frank were doing leaks together, and I decided to kind of bring it together, and then we kind of formed our group. And I think we also, before we got to, as a whole group, we had like Aiden come along. We invited Aiden. Aiden got along, and then you are the most recent member.
That's true.
So
that's true.
it is, I think like what, 5 people now. So
Yeah, I think so.
it's very, very vague for anyone to join, but it's a pretty important group. It's very organized, and I can't really say much else about the experience, as you said, but it's pretty fun and it's pretty cool to see. Regardless.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I guess I can say, because you said it, no one even knew that I got added to the Leakbusters, so if you made it this far in the video, then I guess you heard that, but that's kind of interesting. So this next question is something that's very unique about you, and a lot of people know you for this, and this is something that you get a lot of praise for. It's something very cool. So obviously something unique about you is that you actually own every Spirit Halloween doll, including the prototypes, which is crazy because a lot of the times they're insanely hard to get, and sometimes there's only like 1 or 2 of them in the world, and you have like every single one. So my question is, when did you start collecting dolls, and kind of what got you into that aspect of Spirit's products?
This is a bit of a tight one for sure. It's like a whole origin story. But to sum it up, I bought my first haunted doll in 2019. It was the antique clown doll, the one based off the rooming antique clown. And I didn't really think much of it. I just bought it, whatever. But 2020 comes around, and I'm going to the store, and people are buying Hugs doll, like, Hugs doll, buy it. So I bought one, as a joke, and I liked it, and it was fun to go around to take pictures with him. And then I bought Good Times, and then I created a whole story. And so I wasn't really planning on buying all the dolls during this time. I just kind of wanted the ones I liked a lot. But on the clearance sale, I bought like Eerie Emma, the Decrepit doll, October doll for like $6. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start the collection of them. And then like 2 days later, I found a Voodoo doll, who is the prototype, probably one of my most highlighted dolls is her. But that's when the doll collection started, and the doll account kind of got bigger and bigger in the Instagram side of the community. A lot of people knew about it, and eventually in March, Ashton, which I've talked about previously, he was like, hey, we need to do a doll show, okay? We need to do some sort of cinematic action-packed doll show. And I was like, you know what? I'm down with this, okay? I'm down with a lot of things. So I was down with this. And it's been an experience for sure. It's pretty stupid. That was kind of the point of it. But it's fun, it's unique, and unfortunately it keeps getting very much delayed because I was supposed to be done with the show in October, and we're in January, and the last episode has still not come out. But it's a very fun and stupid experience. But I am glad to be a kind of a big doll guy in this community, and I've even noticed too that people are buying dolls and they have their own like doll wall, like I have it in my other room. So I think it's fun. It's stupid, but it's unique.
Well, actually, you kind of just touched on my next question, because the next question was, using the dolls you've collected, you're in the process of creating a YouTube series called HugzTimez, and you kind of just touched on it. But I mean, in your own words, how would you describe HugzTimez to someone who hasn't seen it or hasn't heard of it? In your own words, we'll say it like a couple sentences. How would you describe HugzTimez?
Oh gosh. I would describe it is that if you watch the show, you're gonna feel a lot of different emotions. A lot of people go in and watching it thinking it's cringe, and it is. Like it's the weirdest stuff ever, and it is weird, but it's fun. People can like it as a good plot. People can like it because there's even funny and sad moments, and it's about dolls. So, I mean, it's basically a lot of mixed emotions, really. Yeah. You're going to get a lot of mixed emotions in a good way because you'll either find it entertaining or you like the plot, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's got something for everyone. So, I like it. And I think so far it's been well received from people.
Yeah, it totally has. I mean, I've very much enjoyed it. Obviously, Chad's, all of his social media will be top link in the description, so you can go check it out for yourself. But before I forget, because you brought something up that I have that I need to show now because you brought it up. So one moment, I need to show this now. There you go, everyone. Because he brought it up. He brought it up. You know, I had to bring him on. You know, since you brought him up, I feel like he has to be featured in the rest of the video somehow.
I should have brought Hugs on here. I was actually thinking about it. I didn't.
Man, I don't even know how to feature him in the video. There's no spots for him. But wait, man, he's not. He's too heavy. I don't know. I need to.
Yeah, those dolls have a problem.
Oh wait, you can't even see him. Really? There you go.
There you go. I can see him.
Perfect. You know, now he'll be featured in the rest of the video.
Off
So obviously we've been on the topic of HugzTimez now for a couple of minutes. So the next question is, what inspires you to create HugzTimez? You touched on it before that Ashton was kind of a big part of it, but I guess the question is also about kind of what is the process of creating a single episode? How do you write the episodes, and then how long does it take to film and edit ones? What's kind of the overall process for you?
Okay, so HugzTimez is kind of based off of superhero stuff. We look at that stuff because me and Ashton are well aware of it. So we go ahead and we look at a certain show or movie. Then we go ahead and make our own little plot. So we wrote the original synopsis of each episode back in March. And for the most part, it stayed the same until episode 3. We started changing episode 4's ending is completely different now than we had originally planned. So we had to change up episode 3 a little bit. Episode 4 is completely different now. But the process, it's definitely a long process. There's some, for instance, like episode 3 came out only like 10 days after episode 2. Mm-hmm. But that was also because I was working back and forth with those episodes. So basically filming, I first start with, it's either filming or voice acting. Basically what I'll do is I'll film the dolls. What I do, well actually I'm skipping a important part, is me and Ashton called one day or one night and he actually writes the scripts. I don't write the scripts myself. Sometimes I'll add some things in there, some extra banter stuff or change a line. He mostly writes the scripts, so whatever is said in the show is most likely his words. Mm-hmm. And then I go ahead and I record the dolls in different scenes of them walking or talking. And I actually voice the dolls myself when I'm moving them, so I know that when I put the voice actors' lines on there, I know what they're saying. Filming can be quite a pain. Sometimes it takes up to 4 to 7 hours of filming because I have to get every shot. I have to redo a shot too because I'm doing this all alone, and it's a bit of a pain sometimes, especially the last couple episodes where there's like $20 in there. So
yeah, well,
it's a long process. Editing is not fun either. Well, actually, never mind. Editing is funner, but it's a longer process. Mm-hmm. It's probably about 7 hours of editing each episode. Voice acting can be sometimes a pain. Sometimes it's hard to contact the people and get the lines in right away. And so I kind of improvise. I work with different actors different days. For episode 4 that's coming up, I've already filmed it. We got the script with it. We've had some voice actors for it, but for the most part, it's a pretty long process. And I'm fine with that. But it is definitely very long to edit.
For people who haven't seen the last episode, like you just brought up, it does have a lot of dolls in it. So people definitely have to go check it out. I do think the editing of HugzTimez is one of the things that makes it so great. I mean, I found myself laughing out loud at so many editing things. Like, for example, I just know in the last episode, the screaming dolls were like, that was probably my favorite moment so far in the whole series. No. I have 2 different favorites too. The scene that was edited with Charlie and then Hugzdoll and Honky the Clown in the car. That was the best scene ever. That was so, I was laughing so hard out loud. That was amazing. Yeah, editing a HugzTimez. People who haven't checked it out, you have to check it out because it's amazing.
It's very funny to watch that. You know, I had to watch it like a million times from editing. It's so stupid, but it's like in a good way. It's got that little charm to it. So I agree with that. It's hilarious.
These next questions, they kind of unfortunately they go away from HugzTimez. Yeah. And these goes more towards the haunts you've done. So obviously in the past, you created the Field of Time, Dark Harvest, Domicile, and most recently the Bloodbirch Bayou haunts. What is the process of building a haunt for you? I try to ask everyone who builds haunts the same question because you find
Yeah.
very, very different answers. So what is your process for designing a haunt?
My process is actually looking at different characters I have with my props. So there's different categories of props. There's clowns, there's reapers, there's demons, there's scarecrows, etc. like that. And every year, I try to pick out different category of props that are different kind of sections. For example, I think Bloodbirch Bayou had a big focus on mostly demons. But then there were some werewolves in there in the graveyard and some skeletons. I mostly try to go with one big focus group every year and then have like secondary groups. And then I also look at how repetitive it is to previous haunts I've done. I don't want to do something like a farm and then the next would be a farmhouse. I try to spread out different themes so that I don't end up doing it again. And for the process, I like to plan it in months like March and April and May is kind of my deadline of, okay, what's the official haunt theme? Some haunts I've done have had their themes planned since, because I think my second haunt on the channel, Dark Harvest, I planned that like 10 days after Halloween 2018. So I was pretty ready with that. Example of it being last second. There's some haunts I've had that are like last second. Bloodbirch Bayou was probably done in the night, planning it. So I had to rush that one out, but I think it turned out fine for what it was supposed to be. But yeah, I look at different groups. I definitely go a lot with the props. I try to kind of go out with a lot of them, especially last year where there's like a lot of props I used and kind of bite me in the butt, but it was I think it was fine with it. I think it worked. So I mainly try to focus on that, and I also try to focus on lighting. Lighting is something I take very seriously in displays. I used to do fire and ice lights in the haunt, but I've been focusing more on the floodlights and stuff like that, or strobe lights. So it is quite a process.
Yeah.
But I look at my main objective is I look at different categories, different groups, and then sometimes I also do things like I'll take props and make like a side display. For example, I did like a clown side display. It wasn't really part of the haunt, but it was like its own little thing. Or horror movie characters like Beetlejuice, Trick or Treat Sam had their own little sections, so that I'm not like exactly just trashing the props I don't use every year.
Yeah.
But that's my process.
Yeah.
Is looking at what is repetitive, what I don't use a lot, what I can use, what fits, what I could use this year and next year, stuff like that.
Yeah, Bloodbirch Bayou was probably my favorite. I think it was. I really, really enjoyed it. And again, people who haven't checked it out, I'll probably be playing some clips on the screen while you're talking, so people can see a piece of it. But that was probably my favorite one. But they're all your haunts are really, really impressive. And yeah, the lighting is always
Thank you.
yeah, one of the best parts. Actually, the next question kind of ties into what you were saying about the animatronics. And obviously, I know a lot of people noticed this, and I did too, and it was really cool to watch. This past season, you got over 20 new animatronics, unboxings, reviews, and stuff you did on your channel. How big do you think your animatronic collection will get? Do you think you'll eventually stop collecting, or is this going to be something that you think you'll continue for a long time?
You know, it's a good thing and a bad thing, because the bad thing about it is that I'm running out of room to collect everything. But for sure, this last year I bought over 20 stuff. There's still props I unboxed that I still haven't posted. There's probably like 6 props I have unboxed that I haven't posted yet. I'm just kind of dried out from it. I've been thinking about it a lot, because I've been thinking about like this next coming up year, if I'm gonna use these props, I'm probably gonna try to sell some of them and then get some new ones. But I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna try this year to be more strict about buying stuff. I kind of just bought what I liked because I liked it, but it kind of bites in the butt with the room and space and the money. This upcoming year, I'll probably still have a good amount of props. And will I ever stop collecting? That's also something I think about a lot. I don't think I'll stop anytime soon, but I know there's gonna be a limit eventually. 'Cause I'm just buying too much.
Yeah, well, actually, I guess I'll ask you this. I had a follow-up question written with that. You mentioned that you're running out of space. Where are you storing like all the boxes right now? Because I know you keep the boxes like a collector should. Like, where are they all going?
So in my basement here, because I actually have like a little prop thing down here, basement. I have a couple rooms down here I can store some props in. I have one big room that's just filled with props. I also have a climate control storage unit. It's pretty big. That's where a lot of my props go that I didn't use this year, or haven't used in a while. All the props I use from Blood Birch Bio, I think, are mostly here. But for the most part, I have a big storage unit, and then I have a shed up outside. It's pretty small, and then I have a couple small storage spaces. I still have enough room to buy a lot more, but some of those props, the big boxes, definitely take up a lot of room. Yeah. That's my problem too. The boxes are big too.
Yeah. Well, actually, those were all the main questions I have for you. So obviously, for each guest on channel 1031, I have a bloody bonus question. And I think I have a very, very good one for Chad. This is like such a good one. It fits so well. So the bloody bonus question for Halloween Haunter Chad, it relates back to HugzTimez. So I know it's just very, very exciting. Here we go. Very, very exciting. So the bloody bonus is, if all of the dolls featured in HugzTimez came to life, which one do you think would be the strongest, and which one do you think would be the weakest? Now, the reason I ask this is because the dolls are all pretty close to the same size. Crouchy doll, I know, is an exception, but they're pretty close to the same size. So, if you could imagine one to be the strongest and weakest, which ones do you think it would be?
Weakest. I would think that the anti-clown's probably the weakest.
Yeah.
I feel like if they were attacking me, I could take him. But strongest, that's definitely hard. Like you said, Crouchy's pretty big.
Yeah.
Like long claws too. Yeah. I also feel like if Voodoo Doll actually had voodoo powers, I'm screwed. She has that in HugzTimez, but if she actually had those powers, yeah, I'd be screwed. But yeah, if it wasn't like if she didn't have powers, probably Crouchy Doll too. That dude has long fingers. It's very scary.
Yeah. Crouchy Doll's like brute force. Voodoo Magic's like, or Voodoo Doll is like magic. So you got two different things going on.
Yeah. So hopefully they don't come alive. I mean, that would be pretty cool, but I'd probably die. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the returned version of Channel 1031 with Halloween Haunter. Again, all his social media will be top link in the description. Now that Channel 1031 is returned, I'm going to have a lot more guests. I have one in mind that's a very, very big deal, and I absolutely cannot wait to get that one out for you all to see. But Channel 1031 returns, more guests, more episodes. It's finally back. If you have any ideas, please let me know. Instagram, DM, comment, however you want to let me know. I'm looking for guests once again. Channel 1031 is coming back at you. Ladies and gentlemen, remember as always, for everything scary, I'm GMHaunts. I'll see you guys later for more Channel 1031 episodes. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.